Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. This is Maria Liberati. Today's segment, I have special guest chef Nichole Marchetti. Nichole, you may remember her as a contestant on the popular show Chopped. Nichole also happens to have celiac disease, so she's really well versed in gluten-free recipes, and she's going to be sharing with us some gluten-free recipes and tips on how you can live a gluten-free lifestyle. And my other special guest is James from the Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company, and believe it or not, they have this delicious gluten-free crumb cake, and James will be here to announce a special giveaway if you'd like to taste this delicious crumb cake. It's gluten-free also. They have gluten-free as well as regular, I should mention. If you'd like to get a chance to win Clarkson Avenue crumb cake, stay tuned for my interview with James, and stay tuned for some other gluten-free recipes and fun. What does romance have in common with almonds? Well, in ancient Rome, the tradition of giving almonds as favors to guests began way back, and the almonds were coated with honey since sugarcane was not yet known at that time. The traditional Italian Marchetti cookies are based mainly on almonds and are so delicious and worth not missing that taste experience if you have to eat gluten-free. So I created a gluten-free recipe for those that have to eat gluten-free. But they're so delicious, anybody will love them. The traditional Marchetti cookie is made with lots of almonds, which provide loads of health benefits also. Crush them and they make an excellent topping for ice cream, or you can mix these cookies with a little bit of butter and use them as a tasty gluten-free pie crust. So here's my recipe. Again, this is National Celiac Awareness Month, May, and we're giving another gluten-free recipe here for the soft Marchetti cookies, or as they're called in Italian, amaretti morbidi, soft Marchetti cookies. And this recipe is from my book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Holidays and Special Occasions, 2nd edition. The book can be found on my website, marialiberati.com, the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com, and really anywhere books are sold online. So here's the recipe. 1 pound of almonds peeled, 2 cups of sugar, 3 egg whites, a tablespoon of potato starch, 1 teaspoon of almond flavoring, powdered sugar for dusting, and make sure that it's all gluten-free, a half a teaspoon of vanilla, a pinch of salt. Finely chop the almonds and mix with the sugar and potato starch and vanilla. Beat the egg whites with a pinch of salt till they form really firm peaks. Then you're going to fold in the almond mix and the almond flavoring to the egg whites. So you're going to fold that in with a small spatula. And with a small spoon, you're going to, once that's well blended in, with a small spoon, you're going to form small balls of dough the size of about a walnut. Cover a cookie sheet with parchment paper. Place the little small balls of dough on the cookie sheet and let them dry for 3 hours there. Then sprinkle with powdered sugar and place in an oven preheated to 200 degrees for 30 minutes. And you will have some delicious gluten-free Marchetti. Hope you like them. And if you do try the recipe, take a picture, share it on social media, hashtag it The Maria Liberati Show. We'll be sharing pictures on my website. And also, you do get entered into many of our giveaways. You may be selected for a giveaway of one of the books or the products. And stay tuned for our interview with Chef Nichole Marchetti, as well as James from the Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company, to hear how you could win a gluten-free Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake. And on June 4th, my Strawberries and Cream event will be held on Zoom, and you can go and register on Eventbrite for that event. My Strawberries and Cream event with Chef Joe Borio. I did an event with him for Easter. We had so much fun, and I really enjoyed meeting everyone. So please join us again. You have to register on Eventbrite, and this is my Strawberries and Cream event. You know, May and June are the month of strawberry, or is the month. Both of those are the months of strawberries. So join us for my Strawberries and Cream event on June 4th. It will be on Zoom. Please register on Eventbrite. And also, as always, if you want more recipes and tips and menus, you can find copies of my books, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking book series, at marialiberati.com, at artoflivingprimamedia.com, and anywhere books are sold online or at bricks and mortar stores. Hey, I'm here with Chef Nichole Marchetti, and she was formerly a contestant on Chopped. She also has celiac disease, so she's going to help us with, it's Celiac Awareness Month, as we've been talking about gluten-free recipes all month, and she's going to share with us some great tips and recipes, and she's also going to share with us some info on some charities. She's doing some really nice work with some charities. She's going to share that with us. She's just got a whole bunch of stuff to share with us today. Nichole, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Nichole, why don't you just tell us, I know people always like to hear, a little idea of your background and how you got into being a chef.
Oh, for sure. Yep. So I like to say my story started very young. When I was 10 years old, I was making the toast at my mother's work. She was a waitress on the weekends. She helped out. So I helped out on the weekends, and I would make toast. So that's kind of where I started in the kitchen. Was 10 years old, making $20 a day, which was pretty cool. And then, I moved up. As I went along. I did food running, I did busing, I did serving tables, and then I finally got into the kitchen. So that kind of is where it started. My father was always very big on family meals, making sure that we always sat down and we ate together. Saturday nights were like his night. He would always make steak and or I call it his famous potatoes. I don't know how he does it. I still cannot replicate his potatoes to this day. Although I try very hard. I can never make them taste like he does. So really it just started at a young age, and just loving food and just getting into it, and, hands first.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. So tell us, before we get into celiac and all, tell us, because I know everybody always wants to hear, I know you told us you were on Chopped back in 2013. Is that right?
Yes. So I appeared on food.
Oh, yeah.
I appeared on Chopped in 2013. It actually filmed in 2012, December of 2012, and then it aired June of 2013. So it's a very long day. If anyone ever says anything about Chopped, it's a very long day. It starts at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we were there until about 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh. So
yes.
People think it's fun to be on Chopped. It's fun, but really hard work.
It's a very long, like I said, it's a very long day.
Well, that's great. And thanks for sharing that with everybody so they know what it's really like.
Yeah.
So I know, Nichole, you have celiac disease, so I know you have to be aware of eating gluten-free, I guess, and all of that. So I'm sure you have some tips or recipes too you can share with my listeners for Celiac Awareness Month.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of gluten-free oats. I love oats. I love oatmeal. I love baking with it. I love cooking with it. So like my one big thing, because I'm also very into making not so healthy food healthier in a way. So my big thing that I like to do is I always like to grind down oats and use that kind of as like the breadcrumb for, say, like a turkey meatball or a chicken meatball, or grinding that down. So actually last night I actually made turkey meatballs for my family. And what I do is I take ground turkey and I grind up oats and I use that as the binder in it, along with some egg, and then your traditional like Italian seasonings and all that other fun stuff, Parmesan cheese. That's one of my big things. I've coated chicken for my daughter. So I have 2 kids. I have a son and I have a daughter. So my daughter absolutely loves chicken nuggets. So I'm always trying to reinvent the wheel with it for her. I'll do like an oat crust on a ground chicken nugget that I make in house. So that's great if you have kids. That's a great one to do. Another great gluten-free recipe that I love, it kind of goes in a completely opposite direction, but I'm a big fan of shakshuka. And shakshuka is a tomato-based dish with peppers and onions and cracked eggs. And then you kind of cook it in a heavy bottomed pan, almost like a cast iron. That's probably one of my favorite. It's a super healthy breakfast. And even my daughter will eat it. My daughter's 3, so she's picky. And even she'll eat it. Yeah, so it's very tasty. We'll put some feta cheese on it, and then I'll just use like a toast or a cracker. I'm still kind of perfecting gluten-free naan. It's at a point now where I'm still kind of working on it. I'm not 100% the biggest baker in the world, but we're working on it. I can bake a lot of regular stuff with regular flour, but you know, the gluten-free side of it tends to be a little bit tricky some days.
It is. I know I've even tried baking with, the gluten-free stuff, and you're absolutely right. I think it's a trial and error process, right? Because it doesn't behave like the normal, flour, baking powder, and all that we're so used to cooking with. So it's kind of like a trial and error thing. So I hear you definitely. So any kind of like sweet things you can tell people like that could be gluten?
So the easiest thing that I find that is made gluten-free that's sweet is it like a banana bread or a zucchini bread, something that already has a lot of natural moisture in it.
Exactly.
Okay. So the one that I use, well, before we get into the actual recipe for banana bread, the different types of gluten-free flours, there's a lot of good ones out there and there's a lot of bad ones out there. One that I'm not 100% dead set I love to use is the Bob's Red Mill gluten-free flour. It kind of leaves a little bit of an aftertaste. 2 that I really like is King Arthur flour makes a gluten-free flour. It's like an all-purpose flour. That one's really good. And then Cup for Cup, which is actually a side business. Bouchon Bakery, which is Thomas Keller's restaurant, the French Laundry. Bouchon Bakery puts out Cup for Cup, which is also another really, really great 1-to-1 ratio for flour to gluten-free flour. So if I ever bake anything, it's with either of those 2 flours.
Yeah, and I think I've had some good results with the King Arthur gluten-free flour.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite.
I just did a coffee cake. It was real. Everybody just loved it, and it was gluten-free with the King Arthur gluten-free flour, because I had a guest that was coming over that had to eat gluten-free. So I'm like, what can I make that everybody will like? But the cup for cup, that sounds great also.
You're good. So out of everything, those are the 2 that I always recommend, especially if you're not used to mixing your own flours, because you can get heavily into buying a whole bunch of different types of flours and then mixing your own, depending on what you need. But if you just want a regular all-purpose flour, those are the 2 that I always highly recommend.
Yes.
They're just super easy to work with. But a lot of the times, those 2 flours are the ones where I can take a normal recipe or a recipe that just has regular wheat flour in it, and then just toot out either one of those flours and it comes out fine. So there's no like, oh, well, it didn't rise or it didn't do this, it didn't do that. They work very well. Anyway, so this is my gluten-free banana bread recipe. So I take 2 cups of all-purpose gluten-free flour. Like I said, either the King Arthur or the Measure for Measure. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 cup of unsalted butter, 3/4 of a cup packed light brown sugar, 2 large eggs, 1/3 of a cup of yogurt, 2 cups of mashed bananas, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So what I'll do is I'll cream together the butter and the sugar. And then I'll put all my dry ingredients, so my flour, my leavening agents, the baking soda, the salt. If you want to throw some cinnamon in it, you can throw some cinnamon in it. And then after I get done creaming my butter and my sugar together, my light brown sugar, I'll add in my eggs, and then I'll add in my mashed banana, and then I'll add in my dry ingredients, and I'll kind of mix until it's all nice and combined. I will put it in a loaf pan. I think the one that I have is a 9-inch loaf pan. I spray it down first, put it into the loaf pan, and then bake at 325 for about an hour. And it comes out great.
Yeah, that sounds really yummy. And again, all these ideas, like, a while ago, not too long ago, if you were gluten-free, there really wasn't too many choices, right? They were terrible.
There was nothing.
Oh my goodness. I remember pasta was like, people would be making me taste this gluten-free pasta. And it was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? But now I've eaten gluten-free pasta that you almost don't even know. You don't really.
For sure, there's definitely differences in the pastas too. So for instance, a more rice-based pasta is going to fall apart on you a lot quicker. But if you have more of a corn-based pasta, it's going to hold its shape. So like Berea, Ronzoni makes a corn-based pasta. And I know there's another couple out there.
There are. I've seen a few others out there.
Like if you go to like an Italian specialty store, they have it's right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember the name of the pasta. But the corn-based ones are going to hold up a lot better.
Exactly. Yes, they do. I noticed that. You're absolutely right. When I first started experimenting with gluten-free pasta, I would have some that would just come out like mushy, like it was like polenta,
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh. But you're absolutely right. So any other last minute tips for people with who have to be gluten-free aware?
Oh, wow. Yes, a lot. One, don't lick the envelope. Did you know that there's gluten in the glue strip of envelopes?
No. Oh my gosh. Wow. So there you go. That's a tip. So, you could be not feeling well and you could have done something right like that and you didn't even realize what you did.
Yeah, I make my husband do it because I don't.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Wow.
What else? If you're ever using anything that's like risen, you always have to add a little bit more yeast. Like I'm still trying to perfect a soft pretzel recipe because I can't get my yeast right. But anything that's risen like that, I always add in a little bit more because gluten-free flour is a lot heavier than regular flour. So it's not going to rise all the way that you want it to.
Right.
So you put in a little bit of extra yeast and it should turn out a little bit better. And I'm also trying to work on another recipe where I can actually braid the bread or work with it.
Oh yeah.
That's another work in progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, it's worth it too, because then you'll come out with some other good, really delicious recipes. Nichole, lastly, I know you told me that you're involved with some charities and some charity work. Tell us, it sounded so nice, these dinners you're doing. I wanted to let people know about them.
Yeah, for sure. So in the area that I live, we have Hospice of Lancaster, who obviously deals with hospice patients and also hospice children, which they do a lot of community work for. And then I also do charity work for Hope in the Air. And they do their charity events and charity galas the last couple of years. They benefited the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia with their service dog training program. Just funding that and getting service dogs in there for those kids, because that's a way of healing too. So what they do is they auction off a 5-course dinner paired with wine that I create for them, and I'll actually go into their houses. Last year I didn't do any because of COVID, but this year we're finally starting to be okay, and I'm starting to feel okay with it too, going into people's houses and getting, doing the 5 courses. So it starts out, with your amuse, which is just kind of something to get your palate going. And then we go into a salad course, an appetizer course, an entree, and a dessert course. And each one of those courses is paired with a different wine that I get to go out and get for them, and I get to create this dinner for them, and it's great. It's so much fun.
You actually go to their house too, isn't that what you said? You go and you do the dinner, like you're there every single. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I do everything. I bring everything to their house and we do it there. Yep.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Mhm.
And it's so nice that it helps an organization too that, they really need it, especially now after this year and whatever, a half, I guess, or something that we had.
Yes.
So that's really nice. Nichole, thank you so much. I'm sure I'll be asking you to come back and we'll have you.
Well, thank you very much. I would love to.
Yes, definitely. And thank you so much for being here and sharing those tips and everybody. Do you have a website or anything to tell people to look for or?
I have an Instagram.
There you go. Well, that's fine. So
Yeah.
do you want to tell everybody how to find you on Instagram?
Yeah, sure. It's just at Nikki. So my maiden name is Mumolo. Nikki Mumolo. So it's NIKIMUMMOLO for Instagram. Yep.
Okay, great. All right, thanks, Nichole. So everybody, you can find her on Instagram. All right, we'll be talking to you. Thanks, Nichole. Take care.
Thank you.
Hi, and I'm here with James Walsh, who is co-owner of this delicious crumb cake company. It's Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company. Yes.
That is 100% correct.
Company. Yes. I keep wanting to say coffee cake because I always think it's, coffee cake, crumb cake. But yes, it is the most delicious crumb cake. And he's here today because, well, for many reasons we invited him, but I wanted to hear all about the company. But in honor of Celiac Awareness Month, the company is giving away a gluten-free version of this scrumptious crumb cake to one of our listeners that like and share the episode. We're going to pick one. So, be ready to like and share this episode. But anyway, this is James Walsh. And James, thanks so much for being here. So tell us how you started the company.
So I will try to keep it concise, but so it's a family-run business.
Uh-huh.
Originally, my mother, Susan, and myself started it roughly 7 years ago, but it dates back to roughly 20 some odd years ago, where my mother was working in corporate America, but always raised us on this amazing crumb cake that she made. My first job ever was at a bagel store at 14 years old. There may be like child labor law things, but the statute of limitations, I think, is over with that. So I was trying to convince her at that time to sell her crumb cake. And she was just like, I have a wonderful job. There's no reason for me to get into the crumb cake business.
Right.
Fast forward up until 7 years ago, we're sitting out on her deck. And I said, you know what? We really should give this a shot. And it's always well received anywhere we go. Friends, family, it's requested. It's always just a staple. And she said, you know what? She kind of was going towards semi-retirement. And she said, let's do it. And so that's how Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company was hatched.
Yes, yes. So how long? So it's been around for 7 years? Wow.
7 years. Yep. 7 years. We're going really full out with the past 3-4 years. I was working a full-time job. She was working. So it's like we now are strictly dedicated to crumb cakes all the time.
Wow. So are they sold in retail stores too, or online, I think too, right?
E-commerce is most certainly our main push. We do have wholesale accounts strictly here in the tri-state area. I'm in New York, so tri-state, Connecticut, Jersey, Long Island. But yes, e-commerce 100%. We always have something fun every month. We do a crumb cake of the month, and you can either do that by a subscription or just log on and see what we're offering that month as well.
Wow, and I love the crumb cake. A crumb cake is just so it's very versatile, and it's like, you can kind of have it anytime. It's like something that's, well, you guys on your site, I saw you have like a raspberry one, right? I saw raspberry.
Sure.
Like you said, the different flavors, but it's so nice. It just, I don't know. To me, it's a comfort food. I just remember growing up too. So I think it's a comfort food, but it's also so versatile. I think it's special enough to have on a holiday or give as a gift too. I think the ones you have on your site are beautiful to give as gifts and so delicious. But it's just a really nice comfort food. So I love the crumb cake idea. And how long have you had the gluten-free version?
So the gluten-free, well, coming from a family that has, my sisters got celiac, two of my sisters have celiac, a few other members gluten intolerant. So, we set out, and not to mention just the climate of what's going on in today's food industry, there's a high demand for it. Yeah. So I'd say we've been doing gluten-free for at least 3 years for sure.
Oh, okay. And go ahead.
No, and then just taking into consideration the, not fears is the right word, but just the concerns that people that do have celiac, we bake all of our gluten-free products in a dedicated gluten-free kitchen. Our products have been lab tested and are well under the parts per million for, trace elements of gluten for celiac disease. So we take it seriously, and we're super proud of the product that we put out.
Well, you should be. And it's not always, I have tasted some, there are companies that try to do a gluten-free version of whatever they have, and they're not always, that great of a version, but your gluten-free crumb cake is just really delicious. And I think it gives people a nice option in case if they can't eat the regular, at least they still get a delicious version of your crumb cake, so they get to taste that. So, James, tell us, so as I mentioned, I just want to mention again that Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company is giving a giveaway to my listeners. So if you like and share this episode, we're going to select one person for a gluten-free Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake. But tell my listeners where they can purchase the cakes and where they can find them.
So the easiest thing is to go to our website, Clarkson Ave, like abbreviation for Avenue, crumb.com, or just Google Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company. Right. And that's the easiest thing. Right now, currently, we have a great Memorial Day sale going on, 25% off site-wide. And again, if you're not in the tri-state area, as of right now, our distribution is just there. Right. So yeah, I would just try to really direct people to the website.
If people aren't in the tri-state area, they can still order it online.
Oh, we ship nationwide.
I love that, you have this Memorial Day sale because it's so nice. When you do picnics, you don't always want to have the stress of cooking this, especially if you have a lot of family over or whatever. So it's nice to get a really special dessert like this, and you get a 25% discount.
Correct.
So that's definitely good to keep in mind. Yeah, I just was reminded today, hey, Memorial Day is only about 2 weeks away. So,
and then next thing you know, it'll be holiday season. The time just flies.
Exactly, it does. So it's that's a great dessert for
it is. And then just touching back on what you said a little earlier, it is versatile, whereas it can double as a dessert and or a breakfast treat.
Exactly.
It's wonderful with a cup of coffee in the morning.
Oh, it is. Oh, well, that's my favorite way to have my crumb cake. But yes, as a dessert, it's all, I love having that with like a side of blueberries and maybe some whipped cream or strawberries.
Or you could just have our blueberry crumb cake.
Well, that's true. Just yes, the blueberry or the raspberry stuff. It's right there in it. Yeah, that stuff is great. Well, James, thank you so much from Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company. And don't forget, like and share this episode, and you could win a gluten-free Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. And as we say, crumb get some.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. This is Maria Liberati. I'd like to say special thanks, as always, to my producer, Britton Roselle, my production intern, Alexandra Troy, and my special guests for this episode, Chef Nichole Marchetti and James from the Clarkson Avenue Crumb Cake Company. And be sure to participate in that giveaway for some Clarkson Avenue crumb cake. Share this episode, like this episode, create one of the recipes we talked about in this episode, hashtag the photo, The Maria Liberati Show, put it on social media, and you'll be entered into a drawing for the Clarkson Avenue crumb cake. And as always, you can find me at Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on LinkedIn at M Liberati, and my blog at marialiberati.com, my Gourmand World Award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Holidays and Special Occasions, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, and The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Da Vinci Style, as well as The Basic Art of Pasta, The Basic Art of Pizza, The Basic Art of Cocktails, The Basic Art of Experiencing Venice, and The Basic Art of Creating a Tuscan Wedding. You can find all of those books anywhere you find books online, but you can also find them on my website at marialiberati.com, the publisher's website at artoflivingprimamedia.com. And hope to see you all on my June 4th Strawberries and Cream event. We are going to be cooking some special recipes with fresh strawberries. You know, Melissa's Produce is sponsoring the produce for that event, which will be these luscious strawberries. I think we're going to use some lemons for some of the recipes too. And so please join us. Chef Joe Borio will be my special guest, and you can sign up for that event on Eventbrite. Again, that's the Strawberries and Cream event. May and June are the months of strawberries, and that event will be held on June 4th from 1 till 3 on Zoom. So no matter where you are around the world, that's 1 to 3 Eastern Standard Time, but no matter where you are around the world, you can register to join us. Hope to see you then. And until next time, this is Maria Liberati saying peace, love, and pasta.